Now, of course, there's our bell. And we use this a lot. You know what that is?
To draw the line.
That's your line, see? And these are little boards if you look at them. It's really not a board, it's little planks.
Oh, yeah.
And I noticed up there that Reverend, was they donated this blackboard back in 1991. There's always somebody bringing something in. And our globe, you can see that it was, some of the countries that are not even on it now have the same name and whatnot, but it's, and this is our old chalk box.
Chalk box.
And you can get a whole box. And I doubt it all, but you can get it. And it was, they were standing up. They were the length of this, and you had to be very careful and not use it too much because you ran out, you might not be able to get some. And this, of course, was used for so many things. It is old too. And somebody has brought us some more modern books. The sound of the letters, but yet they were published. Gina, what did we find?
In the 50s?
Yeah.
In the 50s. So they go back into the era when I taught. And we also have the old McGuffey readers. And we used to have a whole set of them, and people were good enough that they sort of cleaned their closets out and donated older books, and all of these are older books with the yellow pages and kind of worn, see. This is the history of our country. And you can tell it's been written in, and these were actually used. So, where did I pull it?
Over the top
Top.
Well,
corner.
I was
Yeah.
Now, these are the story readers. I don't guess any of you, but I bet your mama or your grandma or somebody knew Jill and some of them, but these are for older children. And they have their reading classes. And you can see the thorn tree that bloomed at Christmas. They had very interesting stories in them. And then they would give you places that you could get other books if you had a library to go to get the books for them. So. And these were used, do you know what these are? You ever used one of these, huh?
I don't think so.
This was your tablet or your notebook. And you wrote on it with your chalk.
I've used one.
And then if you wanted to get rid of it,
Right.
you'd reach in your pocket and get a piece of an old sheet that your mama kind of made handkerchiefs out of, and you take it out. Ready to go again. And you better be careful, because if you lost that, the teacher didn't know where you had your lesson or not. So when you get them, you didn't just lay them down and put a book on, or you know what's going to happen.
And they wipe off.
And that's the reason that a lot of times, I don't know who put this, somebody put this up, when they put it up. And all down here, that's some arithmetic, and sometimes the little second and third graders would figure it out for themselves. Oh, I can't get that, it don't have a number in it. What do you do if it don't have a number in it? And they say, well, it's something. Come in. Come in. Get your seat. Look around for a few minutes, I'll teach you right now. I'm showing them what they put on the board. And I was telling them that some of the younger children would look at it and they had been studying addition and subtraction. And about the 5th grade, they began to actually pretty well know. Plus sign is when you add, and the minus sign is when you would subtract or take away. Now look at it, and I'll bet you every one of you can do it. Even that little fellow back there with his head down, he's hot. He'd like me to turn the air conditioner on. Sorry about that, honey. We just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's our air conditioner. If you could see those eyes, they're working up here.
Oh, I can see it.
Yeah.
Do you understand how they're our air conditioning?
What happens when your mama burns something in the kitchen? And we open the front door and we open the back door of the kitchen to get cross ventilation.
Well, I think that maybe I've got a group now, I'm going to tell you about this little school. You look around and you can see that it has been well preserved, finally, after being an old hay barn for several years. And actually, this structure, come in. Thank you. I think everyone's here today, so you may have to stand up. Or if you be good, you can sit with somebody. And I started to say, when we talking about moving the last time that anyone taught here was me, and that was in the year of 57, 53 and 54. So that's been quite a time together. And my class is the one that's in the back, and that's me and my students. And I was a little bit younger then. And to tell you just a little bit about myself, I was living on the farm. I had married, and my husband had come home from the Navy. I got out of high school, and there were 6 groups of us in summer that were ready to get married when they come home. So all 6 couples of us married in 46, in June and July. And I hate to say that I'm the only one of either one that's living in that community that got married. So I love this school because not many teachers that live on a farm have 2 children and with their husband, and we lived across 2 fences from this dwelling. And the farmer that had it, he turned it into an old barn and figured, oh, what's the difference? It'll go down. So some of us, as that we were around at that time. Some of them had gone. My husband had gone to the One-Room School here. But I lived across the railroad track, so they built another one, and they called it number 2, and that's where I was. According to the side of the railroad you lived on, if you went to number 1, or if you went to number 2. But sometimes we go across the railroad, you know, not to school, but to day, church. And so 6 couples of us got married in 46. And this little school really meant something to me because one of my former teachers, the superintendent of Hardin County, and the teacher that was supposed to teach here for the last year, before it was consolidated, it moved to White Mills or Linville, but they needed a teacher. And when I was going to school, I loved to take the little ones out. I get my lessons, and the teacher, he let me go out under the tree or somewhere, and I worked with the younger children. And he said, I knew she'd be a teacher sometime. So I came in with a load of hay, and here they all sit. And my father-in-law said, Julie, wonder what in the world they want. Well, I said, they don't look like they're dressed to haul hay. And he said, no, I think they want you for something. And he had been talking to them, and they wanted me to teach another year, you know, keep it open another year until they got a blacktop road. And they have to move out of the sun. That got married my eyes. And anyway, that's what I did. They said, we'll make it easy on you. You'll have to get 6 hours credit by correspondence. Well, I did that. And I taught that little group back there for the year, and then they got the road blacktopped and
See, this is her class, and she knows who's in every grade. She told me this one's an 8, these 2 are 7, this one is 6. Can you imagine having kindergarten and 12th grade in here, friends?
oh, when you get close to them and you love them down all your life, well, you remember them.
Yes, ma'am, you do.
And I was telling my granddaughter, I said, before I tell any more about the old woodroom, I said, I've got a pretty good story I'd like to tell, and it's not very long, but my 8th grade boy, he, Andre, come in. You send yours over now?
We're in here.
Well, I'm getting started to tell them. Of course, I'm not long-winded, you know that. Anyway, George was a good ball player, and the only reason he got his lessons was I wouldn't let him play a game outside if they didn't have their lessons. They'd have to stay in and get them. That's pretty good punishment. You didn't have to do that very many times. Well, he didn't get his. And then he had to stay in, and he wanted to play ball, but he didn't get to. So when the bell rang for us to come in from recess, he brought his math up and walked out the door. Well, I let him walk on out the door, and then I went out behind him while the rest of them came in and sat down. He got to the edge of the road out there. I walked up to him and I said, George, what are you going to do? He said, I'm going home. I'm not going to come back no more. I said, oh? I said, well, you better think about that a little bit. And I came on in the house. And you better not go across that road. What would you do? He said. Go and you'll find out. And I came on in the house. he stayed out there a little while, and then he come sneaking back and got in his seat. And he was all right. And I told the rest of the class, I said, now that's between George and me, it's over, as far as I'm concerned. And I think it is George, because he knows what I told him he better not do. So we left it like that. And I'll tell you all, George is gone now, but I didn't know what I was going to do. But he didn't know, I didn't know.
Don't tell all our secrets, Miss Julia. We still gotta work with them.
Well, yes, but you can figure them out.
Yes, ma'am.
Just don't let them know you don't know it up here. Because you're there to be known that you're smart, or you wouldn't be there. You had your degrees, you know, and all of this, and you're older. See, you've got so much that you can put in that little finger.
Yes, ma'am.
But I got this, I don't know, somebody brought this to me, it's not even mine. But somebody must have used it because it's, well, it wouldn't hurt a ant, I don't think it would kill a fly. Yeah, come apart, but it looks like it's been busy. Well, what I want to do is to sort of tell you the love that our community had for this little school. Now, I live at Summit, and it's halfway between Litchfield and E-Town, and it's on 62. And if you bat your eyes, you may miss it. But we are the highest point on the IC Railroad, and that's the railroad that goes through Summit. Now, I expect you all to remember this, because I'm not going to say, how high are we? Where do I live? I do live at Summit. Now you kind of know why Summit got its name. Because it is the highest point on the IC Railroad from Louisville to Central City. Now, you're going to wonder what in the world that you did for school. School went on from 8 o'clock to 4. Had 2 recesses, one in the morning between when you started and lunch, and then one in the afternoon. And you had, well, first thing, you'd ring the bell. And so many of the children would live close enough, they had a big bell outside that it hung up and you'd hit it with something so it'd make a noise all over the community. And if they hadn't gotten ready, they didn't do much in getting ready, they just came on school. And sometimes they didn't smell too good. So, but it says the bell would ring for about 5 minutes before they took up books. It said to let the children know that they better hurry up or it was going to be late. Then they didn't come rushing in the house and just sit anywhere. They lined up, boys on one side of the steps, girls on the other. And then they marched in very quietly. The girls were always first. The boys were just nice enough. They couldn't get in there soon enough anyhow, so they didn't mind staying. Then the girls get in, they sit down, then the boys came in. And then, guess what we did then? Anybody have any idea? We read the Bible every morning. If there's always someone that wanted to read, or they knew a little scripture. And then guess what we did? We stood. You know, you done looked, haven't you? And you did what? We did what? We said the Pledge of Allegiance. That was just something that we did every morning. And then guess what? We'd sing America. We actually knew the song America, and we could sing it. And we'd like to stand up there and sing. And then the teacher would call roll. And sometimes she would want to know the color of something. What's your favorite color? And you'd say pink or blue. Everybody had a favorite color, and that's what we do for that. And then we reviewed the day's assignments. There wasn't that many books you got out and you slate and whatnot, but you knew what you had to do. So, and you was very careful that you kept it on that slate or on your paper. You didn't let it go flying out the window. So then the next thing, we began with the small ones on the recitation bench back there. And we just worked our way through to the 8th grade. But in the meantime, this was when the boys, they were the only ones that got to do this. Guess what it was? They had to go get the water. And they had to go, they had dug out into the gullies and streams, and they got the water clear in there. They put rocks down there, and your water was clear, you know. Then they got where they dug, a hand-dug well. And then finally they got a pump. And they would pump the water. But one time, they was coming along with the bucket, and there's our bucket back there that was actually used. And see what's in it there. Probably don't get your hands in the water. That's what see there?
There's the dip.
We shared water. And when everybody got a drink, well, I think it's pretty well known for that time. But they could drink water, and we didn't waste it. You either drank it all, or you gave it over until you finish it. Yeah. So we learned to share from there. Wonder what we took for our lunch to school.
Sandwich.
What?
I said beans.
Beans? What kind?
Pinto beans.
Pinto beans.
Canned beans,
What?
canned.
Boiled eggs.
Yeah. Boiled eggs, yes. They turn dark around the edges, but that's all right. What else?
Sandwiches.
Fried what?
Potatoes.
Chicken.
Chicken.
Yeah.
It's Kentucky after all.
And we had fried taters.
I knew there was a fried tater somewhere in there.
Yeah, there's fried taters. And we couldn't quite eat for swapping. You know, you had enough to swap. And some people would bring milk. And we put it in the creek down there, and it stayed pretty cool. And we did an awful lot of sharing, because some could afford a little more than others, and we didn't get much pay as well as for keeping the school. But when they decided to build this school, they really did work at it. And anything that's been around since 1892 must have been put together pretty well.
Yeah.
We had a lot of good times, and then we had several that got kind of hurt with these old seats. Now, I want you to stand up on the aisle. Just scoot over here in the aisle and right there and you all on it. Now, I want you to put the seat up at everybody's house.
Oh, I can do that.
Oh, that's great.
Now, they all are supposed to come
They're
up.
supposed to come
I
up.
I think
You're front and back. But look there at what happens if you're sitting in the back row and you put your feet up on that seat. It's nothing but a death trap, isn't it? Tomorrow, you all need to see it. It's a mess. Do you have any questions about it? See, and remember, you don't have your shoes on. Oh, gosh. Charlie, did you ever get anybody's toe on in one of them?
Once, twice.
Yeah. They don't feel good, do they? Well, I sat down and she sold all 35.
Nice.
That's amazing.
And I have the book to show you. Gene, what did I do with it? And I have all the books she wrote. She sent it to me, and they're all left, and that little gal back there. Gene.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
wow.
was awesome. She didn't know I was gonna be there. Really late, I don't know if any of you know. She came out and she was sitting there and she was talking. I'd like for all of you to see it. She came out and she started talking, you know, she's glad to be in Hardin County, and she understood that there was a lady that did a meeting with Dee. And that I did it as well as she did, if not better. Somebody added that.
And she had her money in her own pile.
So I do stuff like that, and I get into all kinds of trouble, but you know what I do, don't you? To get out of trouble.
Lemon meringue pie?
What I do.
Bake a lemon meringue pie?
Yes, that's right. He remembered. Well, bless your heart. You think it's our favorite?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
That's my outfit. I wore it that night, and she got up and she's talking. And so the teacher that had me there, she said, "Go on." I walked out. She quit. She began to look, and she said, "Amelia, I thought I left you at home." And I said, "Do you ever go anywhere without me?" She says, "No, but sometimes I wish I had." And I said, "I'll tell you what, you created me, didn't you?" She said, "Yes, and sometimes I wonder why." And I said, "I bet I have a better time than you do." And she said, "I know one thing, you can make a pie and I can't." And that's the way Amelia gets out. And if you've never used it, well, you're not too old to read Amelia, but the library's full of it. And I'm the cause of it.
Well, that is amazing.
That is so cool.
I like it, so I'm gonna have to go home and find those books now.
Yeah.
Yes, you do that. There's several of them. But I want you to know she did sell all the books after Amelia showed up, and there's what she wrote. From one Amelia Badie to another.